We've all had it drilled into us for decades. Plastics recycling is essential if we are to save planet Earth. If you don't recycle rubbish, the planet is doomed. If we all recycled, we would be able to stop the plastic pollution crisis. What's all this about the plastic recycling campaign being a hoax? Well, in today's episode, we will consider the plastic recycling and if it is actually all a big hoax. The contents of a new report titled The Fraud of Plastic Recycling, released in early 2024 by the Center for Climate Integrity, totally alters our understanding of plastic waste management. The report argues that plastic recycling, long touted as a key solution, has never been a truly viable option and may have been deliberately downplayed by the industry it most impacts. The report delves into the reasons why recycling isn't the answer. It also explores evidence suggesting the plastic and oil industries, particularly big oil companies like ExxonMobil, the world's top producer of single-use plastic polymers, and petrochemical companies, were actually very well aware of these limitations. More concerningly, the report suggests these stakeholders may actually have intentionally misled the public to protect their own interests. The Center for Climate Integrity points to a decades-long campaign orchestrated by the plastic industry, including trade associations and front support groups, to sway public opinion and downplay the challenges of plastic recycling. This alleged deception, according to the Center for Climate Integrity, aimed to deflect attention away from the industry and maintain the status quo for plastic production. The report's significance lies not only in its critique of plastic recycling, but also in its potential for legal repercussions. By highlighting the actions of big oil and petrochemical companies, the Center for Climate Integrity hopes to provide a foundation for holding these entities accountable for their role in the plastic waste crisis. This could pave the way for stricter regulations or even legal action against industry players who may have misled the public. A new report by the Center for Climate Integrity titled The Fraud of Plastic Recycling throws a bombshell into the conversation surrounding plastic waste management. It argues that plastic recycling, long held as a key solution, has been a carefully constructed mirage orchestrated by the very industry it impacts. This rewrite expands on the original text by providing a deeper dive into the history, challenges, and potential consequences of this alleged deception. The report meticulously documents a timeline of the plastic industry's struggle with plastic waste disposal. From the 1950s to the 1970s, the industry championed incineration and landfilling as the best solutions for plastic waste. However, it emerged this was facing significant public backlash to perceived environmental and health concerns these methods posed. As public opinion shifted, the industry evolved and rebranded itself in the 1980s, promoting recycling as the answer. However, the report reveals a crucial detail: internal research conducted by plastic producers themselves cast significant doubt on recycling's viability. A study by the Vinyl Institute, which is a plastics industry trade group, bluntly stated, "Recycling cannot be considered a permanent solid waste solution, as it merely prolongs the time until an item is disposed of." The inherent flaws: why recycling plastics fails. The core issue lies in the inherent limitations of plastic itself. The report lays bare 5 fundamental hurdles to effective plastic recycling. Lack of end markets. There's no demand to buy them and turn them into new products. Many plastics simply have no established market for recycled materials. Plastic diversity. The sheer variety of plastics used makes separation for recycling impractical. Many single-use plastics are a complex mix of different polymer types, making sorting a logistical nightmare. Degradation with each cycle. Plastic quality deteriorates with each recycling process. Typically, plastics can only be recycled once or twice at most before becoming unusable. Toxic additives. The presence of toxic chemicals and additives in plastics further complicates recycling, raising concerns about potential contamination. Economic and product inferiority. Recycling is often more expensive than producing virgin plastic. Additionally, recycled plastic typically results in a product of inferior quality compared to its virgin counterpart. Despite these significant obstacles, the plastic industry aggressively pushed forwards, with recycling as being the solution throughout the 1980s and 1990s. They launched public relations campaigns painting a rosy picture of a future where plastic waste would be efficiently recycled. While the report acknowledges there has been some marginal success in boosting specific recycling rates, such as, for example, with PET bottles, it is of note that PET plastic is the most commonly recycled plastic type, and somewhat of the recycling industry's true triumphs, which have been useful in shaping public perception. Polling data presented in the report reveals a significant rise in public favorability towards plastics, and a growing belief in the economic viability of large-scale plastic recycling. But here's the thing. After all these decades of recycling, it turns out only about 10% of what goes into recycling bins actually gets to the point of being processed for recycling, and most of that 10% is repurposed, rather than being recycled into the same product. The other 90% ends up in landfill. This means the whole recycling industry has failed miserably to achieve what it set out to do. The potential legal ramifications of this alleged deception form a cornerstone of the Center for Climate Integrity report. Big Oil and the plastic industry's decades-long campaign may have violated consumer protection and environmental laws, designed to safeguard the public from corporate misconduct. Alyssa Joel, the Center for Climate Integrity Vice President of Legal and General Counsel, emphasizes the need for legal action. Attorneys general and other officials should carefully consider the evidence that these companies defrauded the public and take appropriate action to hold them accountable. And why all the noise about recycling? Well, it is a life and death issue, since microplastics are now proven to be found everywhere on the planet, even in our blood and placentas. The potential for health conditions arising from this are not yet fully understood. However, they will no doubt come as medical advances are made. The report goes beyond advocating for legal action. The Center for Climate Integrity hopes the threat of litigation will incentivize a drastic shift in the plastic industry's business model. They envision a system where producers are held responsible for the entire life cycle of their products, from creation to disposal. This extended producer responsibility would force the industry to innovate and prioritize solutions that minimize plastic waste in the first place. And let's also consider the part that the news media and politicians have had to play in all this. They advised us in the 1990s through huge media coverage that society needed to get behind this recycling effort. So recycle bins were introduced, which now made people feel better because they were taking action, and yet, as it actually states in the report, the plastics manufacturers were maintaining that recycling wouldn't work, which it had protested so for decades, but no one seemingly heard their protestations. And interestingly, while we consider recycling bins themselves, these large bins are manufactured from plastic, including the wheels and lids. This seems absurd given the call to reduce plastic consumption. The Center for Climate Integrity reports the path forward. Justice and real solutions isn't just a call to action, it's a clarion cry for a complete paradigm shift. The report exposes a truth as undeniable as it is unsettling. The plastic industry, much like tobacco giants before them, seems to have prioritized profit over public health and environmental well-being. This alleged deception demands a multi-pronged approach. Litigation, armed with the report's evidence, can be a powerful tool to hold polluters accountable. Financial penalties levied through lawsuits could serve a dual purpose, punishing past misdeeds and funding the development and implementation of sustainable solutions. Beyond legal action, a new framework for plastic production and consumption is urgently needed. Extended producer responsibility policies, where manufacturers are financially responsible for a product's entire life cycle, can incentivize innovation in material design and waste management. This could lead to the development of easily recyclable or biodegradable plastics, significantly reducing plastic pollution. The fight against plastic waste also requires a collective effort from consumers, governments, and environmental organizations. Consumer awareness campaigns can empower individuals to make informed choices, favoring products with minimal plastic packaging or opting for reusable alternatives. Governments can play a crucial role by enacting stricter regulations on plastic production and implementing robust waste management infrastructure, including advanced recycling facilities. Finally, environmental organizations can continue their vital work in research, advocacy, and community engagement, pushing for systemic change. There is no quick fix to this, and the pathway forward won't be easy. It will require a sustained commitment from all stakeholders. However, the Center for Climate Integrity report is certainly a powerful launching pad. By holding the plastic industry accountable, fostering innovation, and promoting responsible consumption, we can break free from the cycle of plastic deception and forge a future where our environment and health are no longer mere afterthoughts. The time for real solutions is now, and the fight for a responsible treatment of plastics begins today.
Thank you for listening. Please join me next time when we will delve into another episode.